So this is the 2018 iPad Pro, and in this video I want to talk about why I'm still using this device in 2022, why I haven't upgraded, what I think about this device after 4 years, so let's get into it. How's it going, y'all? It has been Aqua, like the color, and yeah, I freaking love this iPad Pro 11-inch. This is the 256 Gigawiggle edition. I'm still using it today. I still think it's a really capable device, and I don't think you really need to upgrade. So the question of the day in the comments below, let me know if you are still using the 2018 iPad Pro as well, or if you have a newer version of it, the 2020 and 2021. I'd love to hear from y'all in the comments, and also smash the like button, subscribe down below if you're not already. And yeah, let's talk about the pros and the cons of the 2018 iPad Pro in 2022. So the first pro is it's freaking cheap for an iPad Pro, for a device this capable, this powerful, even in 2022. So the 2018 model, you can find these for as low as like $350 on eBay, on Amazon used, and that is an amazing deal considering the specs on this thing and how amazing this thing really is. I will leave a link to buy this in the description below, by the way, so be sure to check that out, support the channel. And the number 2 reason why I still am using the 2018 iPad Pro is because it's portable. It's smaller than my MacBook Pro 14-inch, and of course it's bigger than an iPhone, so it's that really nice size that's in between a phone and a laptop when you don't necessarily want to use a laptop. You don't want to be like at a desk or something, but it's also bigger than an iPhone, so you get a lot more screen real estate without it being this like gigantic thing that is hard to hold with 2 hands. I actually find this really easy to hold with 2 hands. The size I think is perfect. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro for me is a little too big, but this 11-inch I think is the perfect size. It's about the same size as the iPad Air as well. So easy to hold, a little heavy sometimes for longer periods of use, but I love the size and portability of this thing. It's so easy to throw my smart cover on it and then throw this in my bag when I'm traveling or something. Another reason I love this machine is the display. It's actually really gorgeous, and it's basically the same display that you get in the 2021 models of this 11-inch iPad Pro. It does support HDR video and stuff, although it doesn't do that peak brightness thing that the 12.9-inch iPad Pro does. But yeah, videos, graphics, like everything looks so fantastic on this display, and this display supports ProMotion, so you get that 120 Hertz variable refresh rate. You know, it's just buttery smooth when you're doing anything on this freaking machine. I mean, it's just so freaking smooth. And the display also supports the P3 wide color gamut, which means that colors are very accurate on this thing. I have no problems editing photos in Lightroom on this. One thing I love to do on here is look through Pinterest and just see a bunch of really inspiring images and stuff, and the colors look really nice on this. It's fluid with that ProMotion display. It's really responsive as well when you're scrolling and zooming in and out. I mean, just look how fluid that is. This device is 4 years old and it's still this smooth, which is really mind-blowing. And also when I'm reading on here, which is one of my favorite things to do on the iPad Pro, text is super sharp. It's really easy to read. And another thing I love about this machine is how freaking fast it is. The performance is insane on this. So the mixture of the ProMotion display with the A12 bionic chip on this machine just makes it incredibly smooth. Like I said, everything is just like buttery. Gaming on this is also really fun and really engaging. There really haven't been almost any slowdowns at all on this machine. Everything, you know, opening apps and stuff is basically instant. I mean, it's a little slow. It's not as fast as my iPhone 13 Pro, which has a much more advanced processor and stuff, but for what this is, I mean, this gets the job done for anything that I do on here. I've even used the M1 chip in the 2021 version of the iPad Pro 11-inch, compared that to this one, but honestly, I could not see that much of a difference, if any difference at all. I didn't really see the huge deal about M1 on the iPad Pro because this one, the 2018, is already so freaking fast. Apple's almost competing with itself at this point. Like the processors, even from 4 years ago, are still amazing and blazingly fast in 2022. Another huge pro of the 2018 iPad Pro is it still supports the latest versions of iPadOS. So this one is running the latest iPadOS 15.5, runs it beautifully, very smooth. Once in a while, I will see a little bit of a slowdown when it comes to opening apps. Like for some reason, the settings app will sometimes just completely freeze up and like I can't do anything. But most of the time, it's totally fine. A 4-year-old device still getting the major improvements, the new versions of iPadOS, is really exciting. I have a feeling this iPad will get updates for at least another couple of years, and it handles the newest version of iPadOS beautifully. Another Another thing I also love about this iPad Pro is it supports USB-C charging as well as input and output. So you can hook up a dongle to this and enable high-res audio. You can also hook up an external hard drive to this. You can plug your SD card directly into this and then open up Lightroom, import your photos directly into Lightroom, start editing them, post on the social media. I mean, I think this iPad is kind of the ultimate social media / media consumption tablet. This iPad has almost all of the features of the latest iPad Pro, such as Face ID, so you can really quickly unlock this with your face. You can pay for things using Face ID. I mean, there's really not a whole lot about the 2018 model that I'm missing from the 2021 model, minus the faster chip and minus a couple things with the camera. But other than that, they're almost identical. So now let's talk about the dark side of the 2018 iPad Pro. The first con of the iPad Pro, I would say, is the battery life, which is still pretty good. I can basically get a day's worth of use out of this, sometimes a couple days, 2 or 3 days if it's just like light to medium usage, if I'm just picking it up to like check my email, look at Pinterest for a little while, watch a couple videos throughout the day. But if I'm using this like all day, I will definitely have to charge this midday. Like it'll probably last maybe 4 to 5 hours of on-screen time, which is not terrible, but that's one thing that I could definitely see being an advantage of getting the 2021 model of this iPad Pro. It's also a 4-year-old device, so it's just the natural lineage of the battery. Like as you use it, it's gonna go down over time. But that said, the battery also charges really fast using a fast charger. Another con of this device is, yeah, it doesn't have the M1 chip. It's still stuck on that A12 bionic, which again is really, really fast. Like I don't notice any slowdowns and stuff, but once in a while there is a bit of lag looking at a really graphically intense website or something. Like I was on the New York Times once looking at a website that had a lot of infographics and stuff on it, and as I was scrolling up and down, it actually started to break up a little bit, like it was kind of choppy, and that was one of the only times I've actually experienced this thing slow down, and it made it feel kind of like an older device. But most of the time, like 99% of the time, I'm scrolling around totally fine. It feels like a brand new device. It's kind of insane. Another con about the 2018 iPad Pro is the cameras are not the best quality, but honestly, I don't even take that many photos or even videos on this machine. I will do some FaceTime using the front-facing camera on this, and that actually looks decent, but there's a little bit of like jitteriness to it, and the picture quality, you can tell like it's an older camera. It does have, I believe, a 12 megapixel camera on the rear, which is decent. It gets the job done. It does come in handy for just taking quick photos here and there, scanning a document or something, and it has a flash on the back, which is really nice. But yeah, when it comes to cameras, I will reach for my iPhone definitely over this iPad Pro. The front-facing camera also doesn't have center stage, which is that thing where it'll follow you around when you're in a Zoom call or a FaceTime or something. That feature is really cool, but I don't really think I really need it. Another con of this device is there's no headphone jack, which for some people probably is not a huge deal. For me, it's not a huge deal either, but why it's a con for me is because I listen to a lot of Apple Music lossless audio, which does not support Bluetooth headphones. So if you want to listen to lossless audio, you do need a wired pair of headphones, and because there's no headphone jack on this iPad Pro, you have to use some type of dongle, some type of like USB-C DAC or something. Not a huge deal, but it would be so much easier if there was just a headphone jack somewhere on here. I think that would make it more of a pro device, or when you're gaming or something, when you're doing something where you need a low latency, high resolution audio type of experience, it would be so nice just to have a headphone jack somewhere on here. Another con of iPads in general, not so much this one in particular, but just iPads need a better iPadOS system. They're about to release iPadOS 16, so they're apparently going to give us some really nice additions to multitasking and other things to make this more of a professional device. And as is, I think you could use this, professionally. There's lots of applications on here, like Lightroom and stuff, which are very profesh, but there's also other stuff where a pro would need a better DAW, like a digital audio workstation for making music, such as Ableton Live, which is what I use to make my music. And by the way, if you want to check out my music, search for Ben Aqua on Apple Music and Spotify. I make weird electronic pop music. I appreciate all of your streams, all of your support. Thank you so much. And yeah, the DAW that I use, Ableton Live, is not available available on iPad. And as much as I have tried video editing on this machine, it just really never quite clicked to me. There were still some things about LumaFusion, the app that I would use to actually edit videos on there. Like, it's possible to make videos in there, but there's something about that app where it just feels like it's limited. So I definitely default to Final Cut Pro on my MacBook Pro to do my video editing. And yeah, it just seems like iPadOS, even with the M1 chip in the latest version of the iPad Pro, it's underutilized. Like, I don't even think some apps can still even tap the power of the M1 chip in the latest iPad. And while every app on here for the most part runs really smoothly, the iPadOS experience just leaves a little to be desired. Like, it's really nice for what it is, but in terms of a pro experience, I wouldn't say it's quite at that level. Hopefully we'll get some nice improvements coming up though, so we shall see. So you might be out there thinking, should you upgrade from the 2018 or even the 2020 iPad Pro to the latest 2021 iPad Pro? And in my opinion, I would totally wait. Even if you have the 2018 one, this thing, like I said, still is complete fire in terms of performance. The display is amazing, the battery life is decent, the cameras are decent. There's not a whole lot about this machine which really makes me like scratch my head other than iPadOS being kind of splintered by itself. This 2018 model is completely sufficient for all the things that I like to do, especially media consumption, some gaming, reading, responding to messages or emails really quickly on this nice, beautiful screen. And even the screen itself, the ProMotion display, feels like a very modern display that really rivals the 2021 model. And especially if you have the 2020 model of the iPad Pro 11-inch or 12.9-inch, I don't think you should upgrade to the latest version, especially if you have that one, because those machines, the 2020 ones, are almost exactly the same as 2021. The main thing those machines are missing is the M1 chip, but those are blazingly fast. The 2018 model is blazingly fast. And again, I don't think you need to upgrade if you're thinking about upgrading to the 2021 model, unless you need the M1 chip, if that's 100% vital to you, or if your battery's dying, or you want the better cameras or something. Other than that, just stick with your 2018 model, stick with your 2020 model, and we'll see where Apple takes the iPad Pro in the coming years, because it's definitely due for a refresh. So that was a mouthful. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. If it was, smash the like button down below. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're not already. And also add me on social media at B3NAQUA, and comment below with the dolphin emoji to let me know that you made it actually to the end of the video. Join my Discord, the link to that is in the description below. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.